Welcome to Ask Prep, your trusted companion for NEET and JEE preparation. Today we will study about a very important topic of biology, which is breathing and exchange of gases, human respiratory system, gas transport. Let's start with the basics. Breathing, also called pulmonary ventilation, is the process by which air is moved in and out of the lungs. This is the first step in respiration. It enables the exchange of gases between the atmosphere and the alveoli of the lungs. But breathing is just the mechanical part. The deeper process is respiration, which includes not just the movement of air but the exchange of gases, their transport through the blood, and their utilization at the cellular level to release energy. The human respiratory system begins at the external nostrils, which are openings through which air enters the nasal passages. These nasal passages are lined with mucus and fine hair-like structures called cilia that filter out dust and other particles. The air is also warmed and moistened here. From the nasal cavity, air moves through the pharynx and then into the larynx, which is commonly known as the voice box. From the larynx, it passes into the trachea, a long tube that is supported by C-shaped cartilaginous rings which keep it open at all times. The trachea further divides into two bronchi, each entering a lung. Inside the lungs, each bronchus branches into smaller and smaller tubes called bronchioles. These bronchioles ultimately end in tiny air sacs called alveoli. These alveoli are the sites where the actual exchange of gases takes place. The walls of alveoli are extremely thin and are surrounded by a dense network of capillaries. This thin barrier, called the respiratory membrane, is perfectly adapted for the diffusion of gases. Now, the act of breathing is divided into two phases, inhalation and exhalation. Inhalation is an active process. When we inhale, the diaphragm, a dome-shaped muscular sheet below the lungs, contracts and flattens. Simultaneously, the external intercostal muscles between the ribs contract, pulling the rib cage upward and outward. This increases the volume of the thoracic cavity, creating a negative pressure inside the lungs, causing air to rush in. During exhalation, these muscles relax, the diaphragm returns to its dome shape, the rib cage moves down and inward, and the volume of the thoracic cavity decreases. This causes air to be pushed out of the lungs. Normal breathing is quiet and mostly passive during exhalation, but forceful exhalation, like blowing out candles, involves active muscular effort. The alveoli play a central role in the exchange of gases. When we breathe in, air rich in oxygen fills the alveolar sacs. Meanwhile, blood flowing in the capillaries around the alveoli is rich in carbon dioxide, a waste product of cellular respiration. Due to the difference in partial pressures of gases, oxygen diffuses from the alveoli into the blood, while carbon dioxide diffuses from the blood into the alveoli. This exchange is driven purely by the concentration gradient and happens rapidly because the surface area of the alveoli is large and their walls are extremely thin. Once oxygen enters the blood, it must be transported to all the cells of the body. This is where hemoglobin comes into play. Hemoglobin is a red-colored protein present in red blood cells. It has a strong affinity for oxygen and forms a reversible compound called oxyhemoglobin. Nearly 97% of the oxygen is transported in this way. The remaining small percentage is dissolved in plasma. As blood reaches the tissues, where the partial pressure of oxygen is lower and carbon dioxide concentration is higher, hemoglobin releases oxygen, making it available for the cells. On the other side of this cycle, carbon dioxide produced by cells during metabolism must be carried back to the lungs for elimination. Interestingly, carbon dioxide is transported in three different ways. A small fraction is dissolved directly in plasma. A slightly larger portion binds to hemoglobin, forming carbaminohemoglobin. But the majority of carbon dioxide is transported in the form of bicarbonate ions in the plasma. This transformation of carbon dioxide into bicarbonate occurs inside red blood cells with the help of the enzyme carbonic anhydrase. This mechanism not only helps in the transport of carbon dioxide but also plays a crucial role in maintaining the acid-base balance in the blood. The rate and depth of breathing are controlled by the respiratory centers located in the medulla oblongata and the pons region of the brain. These centers monitor the levels of carbon dioxide and hydrogen ions in the blood. If the levels rise, indicating a need for more oxygen or a buildup of metabolic waste, the brain sends signals to the respiratory muscles to increase the rate and depth of breathing. In certain cases, like during exercise or fear, emotional centers of the brain can also influence breathing patterns. Disorders of the respiratory system can severely affect gas exchange. For example, asthma causes narrowing of the bronchioles due to inflammation, making breathing difficult. Emphysema results in the destruction of alveolar walls, reducing the surface area available for gas exchange. Pneumonia leads to fluid accumulation in alveoli, impeding the diffusion of gases. Understanding how each part of the respiratory system contributes to the whole process helps us appreciate how delicate and efficient the human body is and how important it is to maintain lung health. Every breath we take is a symphony of coordinated actions, muscles working in harmony, gases moving across membranes, molecules binding and releasing oxygen, all so that each and every cell can perform its functions efficiently. It is a reminder that something we take for granted, like breathing, is actually a marvel of biological engineering. That brings us to the end of today's deep dive into breathing and exchange of gases. Make sure to visualize the journey of air, understand the roles of each organ, and remember the importance of gas transport mechanisms for exam success. This topic forms a key part of human physiology, and mastering it will give you an edge in both NEET and JEE. Thank you for supporting Ask Prep, your go-to guide for smarter learning. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more insightful content.